Yeah. Hop, hop, hop. Hibba-dibba-dee-dee-doo-be-dee. Hibba-dibba-ba-ba-dibba-doo. A-beep-beep-bop-a-doop-a-doo. Bibba-dibba-dop-a-dup. Bibba-dibba-dip-a-dip-a-dee. Bibba-dabba-dop-a-dop-a-doo. Baba-dabba-dop-a-dop-a-dop. Baba-dabba-dop-a-bop-a-boo. Hooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. Dibba-dibba-dip-a-doo. Internet! Dooba-dooba-doop-a-doop. Internet! What up, Internet? What's going down? What's going up? What's going down? It's Thursday. It's Thursday-erd. What's going on, everybody? It's a hot and smarmy Thursday out here in Tacoma, Washington, and what's the word on the street? The word on the street is that what's the word on the street? The word on the street is that it's hot. It's hot. It's super hot, and it's Thursday. All right. Yeah. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got all weirded out. The thing was doing weird stuff there for a second. Let's see. First to the chat, Dean H., winner of the race to get first to the chat. Frank Dominguez, what's up? Wushu Jimmy Brown. Konnichiwa. Phil Emerson's here. What's up? Steven Skoglund, how you doing? I'm trying to figure out this chair here. What's going on? Steven Skoglund, how you doing? Kyle Paith. Ooh, that's a weird last name. Kyle Paith. How you doing? Susan is here. Iris Yvonne. Iris. Yvonne. Yvonne? Yvonne? I don't know how to say that one. Like Yvonne is calling? Is that what it is? Kevin Hayes. Oh, so Kevin Hayes is here and Dean H. So we do have moderators in the chat. Nisi will not be here today, but I still want to give a shout out for her Facebook group. And of course, once again, I don't have the hot link. Whoops. But shout out to Nisi and all of the stuff that she does. She sends out the notifications via Facebook, which I think is much more helpful to everybody out there. The YouTube notifications are just weird. But we do have our moderators, Kevin and Dean H. here, so don't get weird. Or they'll drop the hammer. What is the band hammer? Let's see. Sombra 00, what's up? I think that's our Brazilian. I think that's our one Brazilian that we got that comes around. Eddie West, how you doing? Death Nova, what's up? Candy Overhauls. Ryan Brown, I save your streams to listen at work, but I wanted to say hi and thanks. Oh, right on. That works. That works totally cool. Hopefully we'll get to the podcast at some point in time. We'll get to a podcast of some sort. Hopefully, so people can listen to it at work, and I can drop more accurate, surprises. Surprises. Sometimes the surprises is quiet. Jordan Leroy, intro sounds like some Swedish power metal I was listening to this morning. Understood a little bit, but it sounded great. I like Swedish power metal myself. Let's see. What's the name of that band? I'm gonna think about it here while I say hi to the rest of the people here. AD Aquaria, what's up? Bentley Pascal. Word is, where the heck is my rain this friggin' Seattle? That is right. Where is my rain? It's supposed to be back this weekend, which will be delightful because Vicky and I will be doing a 5K for suicide prevention. We'll be doing a 5K on Saturday. And not to get ahead of myself, but hopefully I'll be able to do I might end up doing a Saturday show. I might, maybe, I don't know. We might end up getting to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th show this week. We'll see if we can do a Saturday one for all those weekenders out there. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to see how it works out. We're going to go run that 5K and stuff and then see what our schedule is like in regards to maybe doing a weekend one for all the weekend warriors out there that can't make it to the show. Atomic Cichlid saying new painting. Nice. It is, as you guys notice, I do change the paintings in the background so you guys can check those out from time to time as those things come up. Let's see. Who else? Angelo's Fish Tanks is here. Steven Skoglund, I set up my first water holding container today for some free plants I got. Oh, right on. Hopefully it's a real big water holding container. Josh B is here. What's up? Let's see. Yep, the Brazilian dude is Sombra. Oh, right on. I was right. I can remember. So that works. Crewquid. Your callouts remind me of Romper Room. All right. Oh, Glass Boxes. Joel Gillett actually made it today on his lunch break. So he managed to make it out here. As you guys know, we have daylight savings time. And it has conflicted with our New Zealanders. But speaking of the international crowd today, a little story of going to the post office today to send out the shrimp paintings, and me underestimating exactly how much that was going to cost. As you guys know, I made a bunch of shrimp paintings for the OG Patreonizers. The Patreon is how we are attempting to crowdsource this show. Kevin just posted it in the chat. The Patreonizers got sent some shrimp paintings, and some other people will be getting some shrimp paintings too at some point in time. And here's the funny thing. I had to send out the international ones today and realized just exactly how much it costs to send things, for instance, to New Zealand or Holland or the Netherlands, even Canada. Even Canada's super expensive, and I could almost throw it to Canada at those prices. So super funny because it actually costs more to ship the stuff out than we actually made from the Patreon. But that is not saying, oh hey, I need people to send me money. No, I'm just saying it is a funny story, and it was you know, like I said, this isn't going like, hey, people send me shipping money. No, that's not what it is. I just thought it was funny that that I finally got all those sent out and then kind of totaled it up and went, oh, we're negative on the on how much that cost, but no worries. I appreciate getting to do it, and I look at it this way, that like, hey, cool, man, I get some of my art out into places where my art would have never been. So cool. I think it's cool either way. I was close to breaking even, but we ended up going up over a little over the budget, if you know what I'm saying. But either way, it worked out. And I'm glad to get those out. I still have a couple more to actually finish because there were some people that have supported here for a long time. Those are the ones I'm going to be making finishing and making fairly soon and sending those ones out. So that will be in the process of things coming up, and also focusing on the shrimp stuff. That is the aquarium that we are working on today, which is the replacement aquarium from my crystal shrimps that did not survive the move from Seattle to Tacoma down here to the new place. So that is the aquarium we are working on today. If you guys noticed from the title, a lot of what's going on today is fairly similar to what was happening yesterday, but in the vein of being thorough, I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to see some of the video and or pick my brain in regards to some of the ideas they may or may not have, or whatnot. So we're doing more hardscape today because there's more hardscape work going on. This tank is going to be fairly complex as far as the setup goes, but one of the reasons for that is that I'm setting up this aquarium to not be really messed with too much as it's set up, and once it's fully running, I don't really want to be messing around in there too much, screwing with the shrimp and you know, banging things around and just going all kind of crazy all the time. So I do want it to be set up and in place exactly kind of how I want it long term. So that's sort of the goal here as I'm building out this tank. Luckily, tomorrow we'll be flooding the tank and stuff like that. So I'll actually be applying some plants and everything. So I would save the I mean, obviously some people out there are going to have plant questions, but I would save a lot of the plant questions for tomorrow. The Friday show is generally a lot longer. We can kind of get more in depth into certain things, and plants will be kind of the focus tomorrow. Today, let's talk about substrates, hardscapes, and driftwood, and those kinds of options, and how to kind of think about how you're going to move into setting up your space or your scape, or however, whatever you want to call it. You know, your aquatic garden. We got to make sure our aquatic garden meets our aesthetic appeal, right? So that's more or less what's going on. So we'll kind of roll into that stuff here in a minute. But we do have some fan questions and stuff to answer. As we move along from yesterday's video, and let me catch up here a little bit on the live chat to make sure I am caught up. Bentley Pasco says to run, Corvus, run. I believe we will be lightly jogging this one. I don't. It's not really a race. It's more of a charity event. So I don't think if you win, I don't think if you even win anything. So it's more of just a charity event. And I did the photography for it last year. Took a lot of the pictures for it. So I'll probably take a bunch of pictures again while I'm there, because I honestly don't have that many people to talk to when I'm there. And then Vicky's like super occupied with all the people that she has to talk to. So I'll probably just wander around with my camera and take a bunch of pictures and stuff. So, which is always nice, because then I can send them in to the people that put it on, and then they can use that as maybe promotional or something. I don't know. Let's see. Ryan Brown says, that sounds good. Also, surprises is my new terror weapon against the significant other. I have been getting some, a few things here and there from folks in regards to generally freaking out their spouses in regards to dropping some surprises on their spouses, and it seems to be working out fairly well. Before I move on to anything, I want to speak to some of our friends out in Montana. A young fellow by the name of Caleb, who is listening to this show, and hopefully find some of the things that I say funny and whatnot. 7-year-old Caleb is in the hospital, and just to give a shout out to him, that I hope everything is going well, and you know, just do what your mom says and whatnot, and things are going to work out. I'm so happy to have made your acquaintance secondhand. But Caleb out there in Montana, just know that people are thinking about you, and we got your back one way or another as best we can. So keep it on, and have a good time while you're, you know, generally just having a good time in the hospital. Give all those nurses a hard time. I know, because my mom was a nurse, and it's good to give her a hard time. So keep up the good work out there in Montana, and hopefully we'll be able to drive through Montana at some point and come say hi to you. Jordan Leroy says, an American suicide prevention charity, Hope for the Day, done a flash sale tattoo in a tattoo studio in Glasgow. Oh, I like that. That actually is pretty cool. And do the flash tattoos for charity. I dig that. That's really creative from the tattoo guys to be doing that stuff. I like that. Roger Deadham's about to do a water change while listening. All right. There's a lot of people out there doing water changes while they're listening to this, so you know. Nick K says shipping prices are ridiculous today. Yes, they are ridiculous. The ones in the United States weren't that bad, but the international ones were pretty astounding. No threats today from the post office guy. The post office worker did not threaten to cut up my credit card or any of that nonsense. Actually, I got a different postal worker today who was very helpful and in a very good mood. And actually, it took a little time. It did take a little bit of time out of my day, but wasn't all that bad. Actually, much nicer experience this time than yesterday. So apparently Thursday is the good day for me to go to the post office and not Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday the people are just... Maybe they're just stuck in the middle of the week and they just they can't handle it. Frank Dominguez asking, are we all getting a shrimp painting? Sweet. No, not everybody. Not everybody is getting a shrimp painting. It actually takes me quite a bit of time and materials and all that stuff to get those out. So I don't think that's going to be my continued... I don't think that's going to be my continued endeavor to keep sending those out for free. So... You know, that's life. Realistically, I got a lot of bills and I got a lot of decisions to make here coming up in the next month. So we'll see how funding the show goes. I hate to always just bring up stuff like money or whatever, but it's just a reality and like trying to keep the show going. But we do have a lot of cool stuff coming up this next month, and I'm pretty excited for. So we're going to see how that goes. We do have the Chicago Aquatic Experience coming up, which I'm pretty stoked for. Realistically, I'm using that as my current marker on the calendar right now. As far as my calendar goes, that's sort of my marker of like, I'm going to be flying on a plane and I'm going to be hanging out in Chicago, so it's probably going to be a pretty good time to figure out to make some decisions and whatnot. Donnie Hill's finally getting the 220 wet tomorrow. Started this project in April. Super excited. Oh, that is exciting. As soon as you get your fish tank finally ready to flood the damn thing. Sometimes it feels like it's going to take forever, but it is really worth it to take the time to... realistically, what's the word? Do your preparation. Do your preparation. Not your preparation H, but, you know, your fish tank preparation. Get ready, figure out what you're going to put in there, and all that stuff that you're going to be doing. I know sometimes it seems like it's kind of just taking little baby steps, but if you can continue to do the little baby steps, then eventually you'll definitely get to that point. Oh, let's see. Jay's Crazy Obsessions did not get a notification. Good thing you looked. Yes, it is good that you looked. That was why I was saying check out the Facebook page when you can, because you can just click the like and then you'll get a notification when like Nisi or Gillett or whoever puts up a notification on there for everybody's channel. It's not just my channel. Anybody that's going live, they put the notification on there, and like an idiot, I don't have the link here to put in the chat for you guys, but I know that I know that Nisi put it in there yesterday, so hopefully you guys can find it, or maybe Gillett can post it in there if he comes back from his lunch break or whatever. All right, let's see. Nick K Aquatics says, I was right about live aquaria. I asked you a few days ago. I had some fish come in sick and died, and they gave me a full refund. I'm pretty happy about that. Yes, that is one of my markers as far as as any company out there goes. How is their customer service if something bad does happen to happen? If something bad occurs, how do they respond? There we go. Is that better? That's really kind of the marker of whether or not I feel like a company is a good company or not. As you guys know, the Aquarium Co-op is one of the places that I recommend here locally and online. I know that he doesn't ship fish and stuff like that, but if you were to get something from Corey that was screwed up, I know that he does a lot of work to make sure that that everyone is getting the customer service that they demand, and Live Aquaria does that for sure. They've done it for me in the past, and obviously they're doing that for Nick. Great, pretty honest company, sort of middle of the road kind of company. They don't necessarily have a bunch of really specific stuff. But they sort of just have like an assortment of the middle of the road stuff, which I think is pretty good. We need a good company like that, and Live Aquarius seems to be the one, honestly, that's getting stuff out all around the place. Really specific stuff. I go for the World of Wet Pets or the Wet Spot in Portland, Oregon, as people from the East Coast say, Oregon. Not Oregon. But those are the two stores that I would go to for online shipping. They'll ship them out, and they almost always have a lot of weird kind of very niche fish and things of that nature and stuff like that. One guy, and shrimps, always just go see if Flip Aquatics has shrimps or not. This sounds like a commercial, but really just giving my opinion on some places where you can get some things. All right, so we have another fan question from Vince Grippa. Vince Grippa, I don't know if he's around. Haven't seen him today or not. And Eddie West with the super chat. Thank you very much, my man. And no question attached to it, so I'm just going to assume that it is somewhat of a donation. Oh, went over to your channel. You've got a new video up. It's got a new video up, and I can't watch it because the audio will play through my stream, so I can't click on that. But I'll check out Eddie West's new video fairly soon. But we did get a question from Vince Grippa, which is kind of buried in the email here, but I want to make sure I get to it. I was wondering what you use to check the temperature in your aquariums. I have digital thermometers that work for the most part, but it always seems like they start to misread the temperature. Okay. Any thermometer that is going to get stuck into the water and hang out into the water for an extended period of time will eventually become inaccurate. It's just a really unfortunate thing that happens with something, whether it's a digital thermometer dipped in there or a mercury-based thermometer or one of the red fluid, whatever that red fluid is in those red fluid thermometers. They will get screwed up over time. I think it just has something to do with the water and all that kind of stuff. It just realistically, all I've ever seen is that old thermometers just don't work right. But there is an easy solution here, you guys. You can go to Amazon and you can look for one of the laser trigger shoot 'em thermometers. That is the one that I use. Back in the day, those things were $200, $300, $400 a piece. Nowadays, they are $15, $16, $19 a piece. So I highly recommend anybody out there that has a bunch of fish tanks, the like pointer gun laser pointer style thermometer is what you need to get. And always remember, don't shoot it through the glass or the acrylic of your aquarium. You will get an inaccurate reading from that. Always go in through the top, point down straight into the water, and you will get a good accurate reading on what the water temperature is. That is how I do it, because I have tanks all at different temperatures. I can walk around the room and shoot each one with the laser beam. Lasers and surprises! Lasers, right? You get to use lasers and you get to shoot them around. Play with your dog, play with your cat, play with your fish. You can wave that around there and the fish will get them. And they're super affordable now. They were really expensive for a really long time. Nowadays, like I said, they're super affordable. You can go on Amazon, just kind of check some reviews and see if they come in broken or not. But I can't necessarily tell you one company that makes them, but generally they're yellow in color. But they work really well and they're really affordable now. And I'm able to just walk around the fish room and just shoot every single tank and go like, what's going on in here? Okay, that's fine. Move on to the next one. That's fine. Okay. Oh, but Nick K's got to go to work. Let me catch up on the chat here a little bit, because I got a super chat here to keep me track where I'm at. Let's see here. Kathy Babe would love to buy a shrimp painting and put it over your aquarium. I would love to sell some shrimp paintings. If you guys are interested in buying a painting or commissioning a painting, I generally do not just make paintings anymore off the cuff. I generally only work when there is time to... I generally only work on paintings when there are paintings to be done, if that makes sense, because I have other stuff to do if I'm not painting. I'm generally just one of those people that's kind of just running around. Today I did spend a lot of time painting because I'm working on Eric Gone Mad's painting and Iris's. It's going to be at their house fairly soon. It's going to be heading out the door here, which I'm excited. I'm excited to get that piece out there. I think it's coming together really well. I'm pretty happy with it. And I also was working on a bunch of sketches earlier for some rainbow fish paintings that are going to be coming out fairly soon, which I'll give you guys a preview before I send those out the door on those, because I've had some people hit me up for rainbow fish and stuff like that. If you are interested in something along those lines, go to darkstararts.com. That's my website, and you can find my contact information there and send me an email. So hopefully, if that's something y'all are interested, you can go to Darkstar Arts. We can talk about what your budget is, what size you want it to be, what you want it to be on, what do you want it to be made out of, all those things, because more often than not, people that go they're like, oh hey, I want a painting, how much is that one? Well, it's like, well, you know, it's like this one back here I think is like $460. It's like $460 or something like that, I think is what it's listed on there. And that may or may not be what you want to spend in your budget. You may or may not want one that's on wood. You may or may not want one with a weird bird on it and all this weird nonsense going on here. So that's the thing. If you contact me, we can talk about what you want to get done, what you want to, you know, what you want to have happen, or any of that kind of stuff, and that hopefully that kind of solves that little mystery a little bit. Let's see. KG Sickless loves that painting back there. I like that painting too. I had it in 2 different shows and it never sold. I thought that one would sell right away, but for whatever reason, it just didn't. Just not, the wrong person walked in. I actually at the time I had 2 other Raven paintings that sold day 1 on the show, that I had those up in, and I had this one in a different studio at a show, and it just sat there. I didn't sell anything from that studio though, so I think it had something to do with the owner probably selling other paintings, if you know what I'm saying. I think he was more interested in selling his paintings than other people's paintings. But Donnie Hill says 220 isn't such a big tank anymore with some of the builds the YouTubers are doing these days. Yeah, the tank I'm setting up is a 150. It doesn't seem that big to me now. It's the smallest tank I have. Let's see, just feeling guilty because it hasn't made any of the live chats in a while. Oh, so your super chat, you just haven't made any of the live chats in a while. But thank you very much. I appreciate your contribution for sure. AMA made it all late. Let's see, Rob Hicks is here. What's up, man? I'm glad to see the painting has changed. That other one kept staring at me. Yeah, I know how that is. Sometimes them paintings just stare at you, for sure. Oh yeah, Jordan Leroy's asking, does holding the temperature gun to the side make it more accurate? No, it just makes you look more gangster when you're shooting your lasers out there. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, I think I'm caught up here. Oh yeah, there we go. I'm back to live again. We might be needing a discus and a mandarin painting soon. Well, that's always good. I probably got to do some discus here at some point in time. But like I said, I'm not at the point now where I'm just like hammering out just paintings that I want to make. So I'm pretty much at the point now where I have to just do work that actually is work, if that makes sense at all. if that makes sense to anybody out there in the world, that the work needs to be done because there's work that needs to be done, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now in regards to that stuff. Let's see. Okay, I think we're caught up. So I think we're moving on to that, and then let me double check. I thought I had another fan question to answer, and I do. It's from Pamela Earlywine. Oh, that's right. Pamela Earlywine sent in a question, but that is going to be answered on Friday. It's sort of a plant / shrimp tank question, so we'll actually be answering Pamela's question on Friday, which means I'll have to manually type in a response to let her know. Okay, and then here's some of the other fan questions. Fishhead2925 is asking, what is tobacco juice? Does it keep the bugs away from your plants or kill them? I'm all about dish soap and water as an insecticide soap. Okay, so we were actually talking about agriculture using a natural insecticide / repellent yesterday, and that was in regards to high volume of water. You just make a gallon jug, you kind of fill it up, then you add a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of dish soap, and then tobacco juice, which has confused not only some of you out there, but it definitely confused my mom when I was talking to her about it. So you go to your local store and buy some long leaf tobacco. It's chewing tobacco. It's like old-timey chewing tobacco where you get it's all shredded long and that kind of stuff. And you can actually just get a clear jar, like a mason jar, put that in the mason jar, fill it up with water, and then just put it out in the sun for the day. You're basically just making sun tea out of some tobacco, and that will be the tobacco juice component that will be going up into your insect repellent, spray. Obviously, it's not 100% the most natural thing in the world that you could possibly get, but you know, because tobacco has so much chemical in it now, but it's the best way that you can do it at this point, unless you grow some tobacco in your yard or something. But that hopefully makes sense. In regards to that, AMA Aquatics uses a laser gun. You have to watch that the laser reads through the glass and not the surface of the glass. I find it more correct if you point direct at the water surface and not through the glass, which is what I was saying in the video. Always go in through the top, shoot it straight down through the water. You'll get about a 4 to 5 degree, it will be off by 4 to 5 degrees if you're going through the glass or through the acrylic of your tank. And always remember to go in through the top surface, point down through the surface, and you will get an accurate reading. Oh no, I'm not late to not too late. It's Thursday. It's the Thursday extended show. You are correct. Sponsored by Steven Skoglund, wherever he went. He was in the chat earlier. This is sponsored by Steven Skoglund. Bentley Pasco is one of those guys who was wondering about rainbow fish paintings. Yes, that is true. Let's see here. Dank Tanks is here. What is up? You've been working? How you doing? Everybody's been working. I've been working. Everybody been working. Everybody busy. Sombra has an Apex controller and use a mercury thermometer to make sure it is calibrated more than a year without needing to reset it. Yeah. Typically, those mercury thermometers are fine. More often than not, most thermometers are fine. But unfortunately, if you find out that they're wrong, generally when you find out that they're wrong, it's been a long time that they have been reading wrong. So one of the reasons that's why I use the laser thermobitator instead of the instead of relying on those anymore. It just I've seen them fail. I've seen the digital ones fail many times, the digital ones that dip in there. I've seen Apex controller thermometers fail. I've seen Reef Keeper thermometers fail. I've seen so many of them fail, and I've even seen the laser ones fail. They just stop working for whatever reason. So that is the reason why I use the laser one now, because honestly, it was like 18 bucks on Amazon, and the one that I've had has worked for quite a while, and it's much more fail-safe in my opinion to use one of the laser ones, you know. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got to go to the video time. But apparently you can't transfer a video that is 58 plus minutes long from your iPad to the computer. Oh, you got a 58-minute long video from your iPad to the computer. Yeah, I know that iPads always have all sorts of problems like that, for sure. Kathy Babe, I'm nervous about the question yesterday when someone stated that Prime and ICX can't be used together. I was using them and now have stopped because I'm scared I'll kill my fish. Well, as we talked about yesterday, if you use your Prime in a separate container, right? The Prime's effectiveness is going to wear off in about a 15 to 20 minute period, and after that, it's pretty much inert. It's not really doing anything after that. So if you can do it separately in a separate container and add that in while I still research and figure out what's going on with the ICX and Prime, just make sure you're not putting them in at the same time. Obviously, the ICX is going to be in the tank, so don't be doing a water change and then just dump the Prime into the tank. If you can do it in a separate container, like a large garbage can or something like that, that would be your best bet, to just make sure that they're not having any kind of chemical reaction. Yeah, so that would be the best bet. Oh, an aquarium coop is here. We had the question yesterday with the ICX and the Prime. I've never had any kind of issue with them, but considering that I can say that my experience is the same with Corey's there. I've never had them interact, but if people are asking a question and there may or may not be something going on, like I have said before, I'm going to look into it and I'm going to find out what the hell is going on to get to the bottom of it. And maybe it's just some crazy person saying some crazy stuff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably mix the two together and, you know, breathe them in real heavily and then see if I die. That's probably the best way to test it, right? No, we're gonna be figuring out the chemical structure and see if there is a possibility that they could interact with each other. I don't think so, but I don't want to give advice without having looked into it at all. Oh, and somebody was... Oh, I guess I'll wait around for that hair algae question to come in again, if that ever does come in, because it's time to go to the video. Time to go to the video. Which video is playing here? What's happening? Hold on. Play. Oh, there we go. Well, XSplit had a freak out again. Well, either way, we made it, and don't worry, it's just the video was freaking out a little bit. Sorry about that. As you guys saw yesterday, I was building driftwood pieces that go into... I think I'm playing the wrong video first. Let's see here. Yep, I was. You guys, I was playing the wrong video first. There we go. Now we're playing the correct one first. As you guys saw yesterday, I was adding driftwood to whole sheets. Well, not whole sheets of acrylic. I mean, obviously the thing isn't 4 foot by 8 foot, but these like... What are these pieces of acrylic I have here? They're probably like 14 by 11 or something, or in that range. That's what size these are. And you guys can watch me fumble around here while I cut some round circles. Right? I'm cutting some round circles of acrylic to show you guys a different way to add in the your driftwood base to your driftwood. So one of the issues that I constantly hear about from people is that they're boiling driftwood. They're boiling driftwood. They're gonna soak the driftwood in a bucket. They're gonna put the driftwood in a boiling in a boiling bucket while it's boiling on a turkey boiler, whatever those big turkey cookers are out in their yard or whatever. it's not really necessary. It's not really necessary to do all that nonsense realistically, when you could just add a base to the driftwood that will cause it to sink. It seems a little bit simpler to me, honestly. And honestly, all of that legwork and all of that time and all of that soaking and all that nonsense can just be done by your driftwood being in the tank. You also get the added benefit of a little bit of tannin release. Obviously, this driftwood that I have here has been in aquariums quite a few times. It just happens to be dry now from evaporating into the atmosphere and sending a little cloud off into the ether. As you guys can see here, I am using a metal and wood mixed use drill bit to cut these circles out. Here is not the recommended. It's not the recommended bit for cutting acrylic. It does work fine, but just remember, here is a quick pro tip for you all. Do not cut slowly. You need to cut at high speed when you're cutting acrylic with a bit like this. You cannot go slow. If you go slow, you will have problems. What kind of problems will you have? You won't get through it. You just won't. It won't. You create too much temperature and you start to melt the acrylic, and it will begin to bond with itself again, and you will just have kind of a nightmare on your hand if you're using this drill bit. Like I said, this style of drill bit works fine for what I'm doing, because this is definitely not an application that needs to look pretty or really be all that accurate. They just need to make these little pucks of acrylic, and then I'm going to end up cutting all the holes out of them. I wanted to speed this video up, but we did not have the render time in order to do it, which as a lot of you know out there, I use Sony Vegas, and the new company that owns Sony Vegas is called Magix, which means that they've put their hands on it, and now no video cards work for rendering or even using the video software at all. So I have decided to make the plunge into Adobe Pro and just go the Adobe Premiere route. The learning curve is probably going to mess with me for a good amount of time, and then another reason I didn't want to be switching to Adobe is they're going to charge me every single month for using their software. So that is going to be an additional $53 out the door every month, which kind of, you know, honestly, kind of pisses me off a little bit, that the software I have doesn't work properly, and the software that I'm going to be using is just a permanent charge forever. After Effects is the only one I can buy that you don't have to charge every single month, but After Effects isn't really going to work for a lot of the stuff that I do. Whew. All right, let me catch up on the chat here. Prime smells like shit. I would do that. I wouldn't do that. Prime smells bad and Safe smells bad. They all smell real bad, honestly. Oh, Aquarium Coop is in Wyoming, where I want to be. All I'm saying is I can't wait to get home. Mrs. Mafishes. Agreed. That is a long road trip to be on. Roger Deadham, I don't know, retracted a message. I don't know. Let's see. Steven Scoglin, I bought some Safe recently. Prime doesn't last long enough. Yeah, you run through Prime so fast. When I worked at a store, we had the 5-gallon jugs of it, and we still went through it fast. It seemed like we went through it pretty fast. Candy Overhaul says Wyoming sucks to drive through. No, I disagree. Wyoming's nice. But Kevin Hayes says not too far from home. It is a little bit of a drive to go straight through from Wyoming to Western Washington. But I think it's about 12 hours. I think the drive's about 12 or 14 hours. I think it's realistically 14 because you have to stop and get gas, stretch your legs, and restroom and stuff like that. But I could make it to Wyoming in a day. Doing 100 on the highway. Don't do 100 on the highway. It's not good. It's not a good idea. Teresa Cookie says, this is such a neat idea. I might have to try it out. Can't wait for the Lang video to come out. The guy cracks me up. Can't wait. Let's see. What do we not get charged for these days? I got this VSDC that I'm having trouble learning, but it's got a decent amount of features. If someone wanted to donate to you through PayPal, how could one go about that? Donation without YouTube or Patreon fees. Honestly, the Patreon would be the best route to go. The Patreon fees are pretty much as little as they get. The Patreon fees are about the same as PayPal, but honestly, if somebody wants to send me money through PayPal, I appreciate it, and that is totally fine that they could do that. But you can just contact me through Darkstar Arts, and if that's what needs to be done. Honestly, the Patreon page is the easiest way to do it, because I don't necessarily have any of the information or any of that kind of stuff. It will all be handled by those guys, and they basically just it is the easiest way to do it. They don't charge that much in fees, because PayPal still charges what, 4.8% or something like that to transfer money from strangers. Stranger danger, plus whatever they charge on the back end or whatever. But Patreon is the great way to do it, because they charge it's 5% is what they charge for their processing fees, and 5% for their hosting. Right, which is considerably less than the 40% that YouTube does. So that is the easiest way to do it. Plus, we can also track all that kind of stuff. So we can track all the Patreon stuff and all that, all those kinds of things. Honestly, the more Patreonizers that we have on there, the more of a marketable thing it is too. Also, so if so right now we have like 44 patronizers, which is awesome and totally crazy, and I'm totally stoked for. If we can get into the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, then that is a thing that I can definitely be showing to people as we move along, right? Is going like, here's the fan base that sponsored this show. So if, for instance, like maybe I needed to get a $2,000 or a $5,000 loan to, for instance, like go to Florida to shoot a bunch of video in Florida or any of that kind of stuff. The Patreon would be the way to show like, hey, this is the big fan base that we have, and blah blah blah. This I'll be able to fund this from blah, payback over time or whatever. If we were going to do some kind of project along those lines, whatever, that's just an example. But the Patreon is kind of the best way to go, and the Patreon is once a month. So if you want to do a one-time donation, you could do to my PayPal if that's something that you guys want to do, because you just want to do a one-time thing. The Patreon is once a month at the end of the month. So that's pretty much honestly, I think that's kind of the cool thing about the Patreon. Corey was talking about it on some of his videos, where he was saying, you just do $3 for 3 creators, just $1. Like, okay, so let's see. So like, let's say you did, I don't know who else has a Patreon on here, but let's just go with Kevin Hayes, right? Because Kevin's one of our moderators there, and Glass Boxes and myself. So let's say you wanted to, sponsor Corvus for $1, Glass Boxes for $1, and Kevin Hayes for $1. That goes quite a long way on the Patreon, in comparison to like A, what YouTube pays out, or B, it also shows that you have a fan base that are tuning in every month or whatever. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. Why is this not playing? Play. All right. So this is how we get to that. That's why so many holes, right? Because we're making essentially a Driftwood centerpiece, right? And actually, I did want this part of the video to play first, which goes to show you why I'm so mad at Sony Vegas, because I would have just edited this together instead of trying to do it live. But whatever, I'm going to suck it up and throw it on the old credit card and have the hopefully pay the bank back at some point in time to get some better editing software that I can actually render things. If anybody out there doesn't know what rendering is, that means when I edit the video all together, it needs to be processed, right? Which means, which is what rendering is. It's like processing the final product, so it actually makes it into one singular video that I'm able to use or upload into YouTube. So that's the final product, and then here's the process of going through how to adhere these on. You do need to drill. You do need to drill a small hole into the acrylic, which I do ahead of time with that step bit that I am loading into the drill right there. So I can drill a hole into the bottom of the acrylic and offset the hole so that it is essentially skinny on one end and fatter on the other end, so it will seat the screw properly once the screw goes in there. Then I drill a hole into the driftwood. Then I essentially screw it on there. Those of you that were watching yesterday's, people were asking, oh man, you're using super glue, Yes, because I want to show you guys some varied and different ways how to apply the, how to put the driftwood together, essentially, to get it to go where you want it to be. And this is, in my opinion, this is the most effective way to utilize your time if you're going to be doing stuff with driftwood. I feel personally like it's a huge waste of time to be boiling water, throwing them in the water, then getting them out of the water. Now they're all super hot, so you got to let them dry. Kathy Babe is asking, am I using wooden dowels or screws? This is actually the screw method. I've used dowels before. I don't recommend people that aren't used to doing dowels to do the dowel method. A lot of people that don't do a lot of woodworking, it just creates a really chaotic situation that is difficult for people to deal with. Honestly, it's that the dowel method is something that takes a long time to kind of get good at. So I don't normally recommend people that haven't done a lot of woodworking to use dowels. If you have done a lot of woodworking, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it won't be a big deal for you. So honestly, this is more of a video for maybe like the beginners, and for beginners, I wouldn't recommend doing the dowels. It's a lot of chaos to have to deal with for somebody who's like kind of just starting out. These screws here are super easy to acquire. Actually, just go down to your local store and say, hey, where are your stainless steel screws? Be sure not to use zinc or any other type of metal screw. Be sure to use stainless steel. That is the one that will be the safest in your aquarium. So be sure to use stainless steel. They really don't cost that much. I believe a 50 pack of those little screws is like $6 or $8 or something like that. Really not that expensive if you just go buy a little box of 50 of them. And you know, people like me order them normally by the pound. I normally order like 13 pounds of them. So but it's really not that, it's not going to cost that much to just go to the Home Depot or whatever and get in some regular old stainless steel screws. Let's see, Teresa is asking if Patreon is monthly. I think, yeah, you can do a one-time donation on Patreon just to kind of clear up some of the questions over here in the chat. Near the end of the month, if it charges you once, you can always change how much Patreon you want to Patreonize, right? We've had a bunch of people that have upped their how much they want to Patreonize, right? So maybe they started out at $5 and then they said, hey man, this guy's making a lot of videos, I'm gonna go up to $10 or $10.12 like some people are into. So you can always change it or always take it off, but you do get charged at the end of the month, just so that people know that's when it happens. Let's see here. The thumb chop saw. That is the thumb chop saw down there on the ground. And Dank Tanks is asking, did you get the thumb thing on video? No, but I do have pictures of the chaos, because I literally, when I cut my thumb off, I was actually just cutting scrap lumber into chunks of wood that I could feed into my fireplace. That's all I was doing. I wasn't doing anything technical. I was doing the stupidest, dumbest thing that I really needed to pay attention to, and I really just wasn't paying attention to at the time. Yeah, that's why I ended up cutting my thumb off, because I really wasn't paying attention, and it's pretty darn stupid of me. But you guys can see that, yes, I have recut the bottoms off here of certain things that were going the wrong direction to make sure that they're all going the correct direction. Kathy is asking, what kind of wood are you using as well? I am almost all of the driftwood that I have is manzanita, which I've ordered large bundles of manzanita from the down in California. It's Manzanita Burl Works. Manzanita Burl Works. Where is it? I think this is it. Yep. Hold on, I got the hot link here. I'm completely unassociated with this guy, but he is just an awesome wood supplier. Definitely an old school dude, and a lot of people are thrown off by old school dudes. Me, I like old school dudes. I don't have anything to do with this guy except for having ordered wood from him many times. You have to call him on the phone and let him know what you want, or fax him. You cannot email or just hit a hot link or anything like that. You have to call him on the phone and tell him what you're looking for, and give him your address and all that kind of stuff. So I know that it has thrown off a bunch of people. They're like, I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. Okay, I get it, but you're going to have to order crappier wood from somewhere else. The wood that he gets is saw cut from his own forest. They heat it up in a kiln and sandblast it before they send it out to you. So it is pretty much a pretty damn good value, honestly. Let's see. Kevin Hayes, my experience is one of throwing things as far as I could. Let's see, unless you get one with a set screw, even more pricey. Which kind of wood? Let's see, what's going on here? Joel, have you ever used a newfangled drill setup with the drill on one side and the screwdriver head on the other, and you flip them back and forth? Yes, I have used them before for a very short amount of time, because that thing was ridiculous. That screwdriver was a total piece of junk, and I have no plan to use one of those ever again. Kevin Hayes is asking, damn, bro, are those the 60-volt max batteries? No. Those are the 20-volt max batteries. The 60-volt max batteries are friggin' so expensive. Those are just the big 20-volt batteries. I wait for them to go on super sale, which they do from time to time, and have a couple of those, and a bunch of other DeWalt batteries for sure, because almost everything I have runs off of DeWalt batteries. You know, other than corded tools, obviously. But luckily, we actually get to get into the fish tank here now. So that is going to be a good thing, because now I'm actually in there. Actually in there messing around with the substrate and stuff. A lot of people are asking yesterday, why is this substrate so deep? Because I want this substrate to be deep. That is how I want it for my crystal shrimps. I'm gonna want it nice and deep in here. As I said earlier in the video, it's because I do not want to be monkeying around with this tank as much as I have to with moving plants and doing all those kinds of things. But another one of the reasons why I really like doing these little acrylic-based driftwood pieces, if I really do need to make a change, you can see just how much driftwood feature that I can grab and move out. Whenever I feel like it, I can just grab it, move it out without really a problem, and just clear out a whole area of driftwood, which is quite helpful. Oh, Dwayne Kitchell says to hit the like button. After a long conversation yesterday with Gillett, I realized I should probably be telling people to hit the like button. So hit the like button, I guess, because the algorithm likes it when we hit the like button, apparently. So that's important. I believe. I believe it's important. We'll see if it actually is important or not, to hit the like button. Where does this, what's this stupid thing doing over here? Hold on a second. Double click on that. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Clicking buttons over here on the other side. All right. Sorry about that. Let me catch up here with what's going on. Yeah, and they also, yeah, as Kathy was saying, you can actually get everything really closely together, and you know, squeeze things in and actually really fill in the scape, which is, this is going to be a wildly busy hardscape. This whole aquarium is going to be full of driftwood, rocks, hidey holes, cubby holes, mosses, and all sorts of plants. All sorts of slow-growing plants are essentially going to be going in here. And as you can see here, I'm using my fancy schmancy scaping tool here that grows. It actually grows out of the right side of my my body. That is the tool that I prefer to use when I'm aquascaping. I do have like paint brushes and little tongs and stuff like that, but I find my hands are the most useful tools out there. As far as scaping goes, that's my favorite tool out there. Kevin Hayes was saying, I figured you could find manzanita in Washington. They're everywhere when you lived in Cali. Yeah, you can find manzanita in Washington, but it's really difficult to get to areas where manzanita is growing in Washington, honestly. There is some growing here, but it's generally too wet, and the climate's just a little different than down south in California. But you can find it here. It's just really difficult to find. The fishy mailman's late to the party, but finally here. A little too much overtime this week. Oh, well, that's not the worst thing ever. Bracken says, that's funny, I'm scaping right now. I don't know if that's, I don't know how much of let's see. Let's see. Rob Hicks. Yeah, we were close. I go up the back roads and find streams and rivers to make for a nice day in the woods. Let's see. Oh, HC Aqua's answering Kathy's question. Yes, when you yeah. All right. I'm not gonna. All right. You guys got that handled. Let's see, the substrates that are in this aquarium are a combination of Fluval stratum, ADA Amazonia, and some Montemorillonite clay that I've added in just as a little bit of a supplement added in, and the fluorite black sand, which is my favorite fine root sand out there for a planted aquarium. It is it's pretty black. It's not jet black, but it's pretty black and dark. Works really well for a long period of time. As far as a planted aquarium goes, that you're looking for a sandy type substrate, that's the one that I would definitely recommend. This is the ADA Amazonia, and HC's asking light or regular. Should be. I'm trying to remember which. It's not the fine. It's not the fine. It's the regular size. It's not the fine. It's not the fine stuff from ADA. So it's actually just kind of the standard issue size of it. All right. Look at this trick camera work. My camera's in the aquarium. I'm gonna pause. Oh. Let's click it around here and find a weird spot to leave it on. There we go. That'll give you an idea up close and personal right there of what essentially the ADA and the Fuval Stratum's actually really sized very similar, and the standard size one, in my opinion, not too big, not too small, kind of just right, and works out really well. All right, so hopefully everybody liked that portion. Oh, so you mean the light in color, or the? Oh, okay. This is the darker in color. This is the dark one. This is the dark black colored ADA soil, the Amazonia version of it. What's this thing doing here? There we go. All right. All right. Let's see. We'll go click over to here. Yeah, okay. Just to double check. That is good. Okay. All right. Well, either way, hopefully everybody that was an informative video. I don't know. Maybe I just showed everybody stuff that they all knew already. But it is Thursday, and we do have the Steven Skoglund extended experience here. But I do want to give a shout out to the Patreonizers before I roll into answering a question here that I was going to answer tomorrow, because we're kind of at a point now where actually I just don't have a ton to talk about with substrates, and there aren't a whole bunch of people asking a ton of questions. So not a bad thing. The holidays are coming through, then I'll probably never get to catch you live. Well, I don't know. I can't work on everybody's schedule, so I can try to do my best to show up and be live when I can, and we'll see how it goes moving along. Let's see. Steven Skoglund's asking, can I commission some of those manzanita trees in the distant future? I suppose it's possible that I could build stuff for people if they wanted. I don't know if it would really be worth it with the shipping and the cost of ordering all the materials and stuff and my time. I don't know if the combination of all three would really be all that effective. I don't know. Joel, have you tried fresh mango for my shrimp? Mine go crazy for it. No, I have never tried fresh mangoes for the shrimps. Probably, I don't know. I'll see. I'll actually look into that and see if that's a thing that needs happening or not. I'll maybe try to do some fresh mango at some point. That'd be cool. All right, sorry, I needed to reload the page there for a second. There we go. Now it's working correctly. But I do want to give the shout out to the Patreonizers here. If anybody is confused what the Patreon is, one of the cool things about the Patreon is that there is a community page now, and you can post onto the community page questions, answers, or any of that kind of stuff as we move along here, and I'll answer them accordingly. Well, I might not necessarily answer them exactly the next day, but I'll answer them when I think the content probably has something to do with the day, whatever our schedule is here. All right, so let's answer the... Oh, no, we're not answering anything. We're going to give a shout out to the Patronizers. At the very, very top of the list, we've got the Aquarium Coop coming in at $250 a month, which is amazing, and thank you very much. Quickly followed up by Steven Skoglund and Eric Gone Mad at the $40 mark and the $39.99 mark. We have a bunch of brand new people here to run through, but Kieran Egan, the Fishy Mailman, Sashimi Whiskey, Long Woo, and that's it at the $20 mark. Thank you very much, you guys. It is huge. Everybody's huge on the Patreon, and it's all adding up to do more shows and more content here for this. Let's not forget, we're going all the way to Chicago. We're going all the way to Chicago. All right, at the $10 mark, we've got Joel Gillett, Pax, Vince Grippa, Denzel Gregory, Nick K. Aquatics, Rob Hicks, Matt Gilmet, Jack Betts, Cichlid Bro, M. Den Hollander. I hope he likes his shrimp painting. It costs a lot of money to send it to the Netherlands. Down here at the... and Jennifer J. Sergicino at the $10 mark. What up? At the $5 reward, starting out with Pamela Earlywine, Bracken Ward. What up, Bracken? I know you're in the chat. What's up, dude? Kevin Keener, Roger Fornhan, Tim Lewis, Lecter Records, Candy Overhauls, Addison, Nishijima, Jim Meeker, Karen Halbert, Eve Deigel, Kevin Hayes, Gene Fensky, Karen K.Z. Ellis. We also got down here at the $1 reward mark. We've got Dean Feldman, Teresa Cookie, Spencer Ballard, AMA Aquatics, Matthew Hogerden, Theodore Schultz, Priscilla MK, Jeff Jackson, Thomas Donchek, Nisi of the North, and Matthew. All right. Thanks to all the patronizers. I don't think that I would be able to keep doing this show if it wasn't for you guys. That's just my honest take. That's just my honest take at this point. I'd probably just have to go and go work down at the docks or something. You know, running electrical to boats or something along those lines. And then just be all super torn up and not really have a lot of time for doing YouTube stuff. So hopefully I'll be getting the new video editing software here, so I can start cutting together some funnier, shorter videos for those of you out there that are straight freaking, right? Straight freaking for short ones. But I like doing this long format. I hope everybody else likes doing this long format. And yeah, I like showing up. I like being interactive, and I like being able to answer questions sort of rapid fire and stuff like that. Even though, if I'm honest, sometimes I can screw up the answers because I am answering questions pretty quickly, so sometimes I screw them up, but we try to do our best to make up for them the next day. A lot less views today than yesterday. A lot less people in the chat. I don't know. I guess Wednesday must be a busy day, and Thursday people's relaxing or something. All right, so we're sort of impromptu here at the end of the video, so I'm just going to be answering questions here for the next 8 minutes, unless somebody extends this thing. So let's see. Kathy Babe has a question. I already have sand in the tank. How do I put dirt down now? Well, I have to take the sand right out. The moonlight got me, but now I think dirt would help my plants. I wouldn't dirt your aquarium. I don't ever give the advice to dirt your aquarium. So if you're going to dirt your aquarium, yes, you're going to have to take everything out and redo it. Because you're going to need to put your dirt down and then put a bunch of sand on it. Then put a bunch of gravel on the sand. Then put a bunch of fine gravel, then bigger gravel. It's just a way. I don't recommend anybody to dirt their tank. It's a huge waste of time, and you will have a chaos down the road. But yes, black, like blasting sand, like the moonlight blasting sand, won't work well for your plants long term, honestly. You can do it. People can do it before anybody contrarians out there decide to come on and start posting about, like, I had a tank for 48 years that had nothing but silica sand in it. Cool. Cool story. I also had goldfish in a 2-gallon bowl when I was a child. And it was stupid, right? I did it. It happened. It's not good. It was not good. Fred 1, Fred 2, Fred 3, the ghost of Fred 1, Fred 2, Fred 3, Fred 4, Fred 5, Fred 6, Fred 7, Fred 8, Fred 9, and Fred 10. However many Fred goldfish I had when I was a kid, they were all named Fred. I kept naming them Fred. I was just that guy. I just continue to name my goldfish Fred. Yeah, you know, just because there's an exception out there doesn't mean that that's necessarily how it's going to work. But if you are going to dirt your tank, I highly recommend to get Diana Wallstad's book, and that can be found on Amazon. Super easy to locate. All right. Let's see. Bracken is asking if I was to get some Caridina shrimp, what would be the best soil to use to help with lowering the pH? Over here on the west side, water is hard, unlike what I'm used to in Tacoma. Over here on the west side. Where are you, Bracken? Are you on the peninsula or something? Okay, I don't know. Bracken, we need more answers. Or more parts for your question. But the best soil I can recommend is honestly the Fluval stratum. I've been down this road a few times. Honestly, like volume for price and its buffering capacity and what it can and can't do over a long period of time. Honestly, the stratum, I hate to beat a dead horse here. I don't have anything to do with Fluval. I don't have anything to do with them. I have nothing to do with them. I don't make any money for bringing up their stuff. I don't have anything to do with that company. I just like that product. I really do. There are some cheaper ones out there, some cheaper knockoffs. There is probably a cheaper way that you could maybe be maintaining your Caridina shrimp would be to possibly get an RO unit, but that's also expensive too. Out here in Washington, our water isn't super accumulated with too much stuff, so you can actually just do a DI filter instead of a full RO DI. That is basically what I do in my fish room. The DI filter, charcoal filter, and particulate filter will pull just about every single damn thing out of the Western Washington's water. Sorry, Eastern Washington's water is a little bit different, but Western Washington water, that's the easiest way that I filter it, and I don't waste any water either. So, if that makes sense. The filters I use will let me do about 1,200 gallons before having to change them, so I do have to change them not super often, but they do have to be changed, so that is a recurring cost also. But personally, a 10 gallon, a 20 gallon, a 40 gallon. Right now I'm setting up a 150 gallon with Fluval stratum, ADAs, and that kind of stuff. It really is just worthwhile in order to get that buffering capacity and a couple other things out of it. Some people were asking yesterday if there is ammonia in stratum and Amazonia and all that kind of stuff when you add it to your tank. Yes, there will initially be some ammonia spikes. That is part of it's essentially a accidental benefit to that soil that will allow you to cycle your tank a lot easier. It's basically just applying some of the ammonia to start cycling your tank without having to throw a dead shrimp or a dead fish or somebody was saying they were going to pee in their tank at some point to try and get some ammonia in there. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff, so it is kind of helpful in order for cycling the tank and all that kind of stuff. Let me see here. Whoops. I'm doing a 10 gallon, so really I can spend whatever amount of money because it isn't going to need a lot. Yeah, that's one of those things. If you got the 17 pound bag of Fluval, I think you'd be fine. And realistically, I think that's only like $29.99 or something like that. I think you can find them for like 30 bucks, which is a pretty good deal, realistically. And it's really kind of a one-stop shop experience, honestly. Let's see. I know you do. I'll always watch the streams later, but it's always nice to be able to interact with everybody. Oh, that's right, Fishy Mailman. Yes. If you can make the live streams, that is super awesome. If you have to watch them later, that's obviously not the most effective way to be on and or watch the show. But that's why YouTube loads it up as a video later. We do we get more people watching it later than are actually live. So I think most videos now are averaging about 500 views or something along those lines. And as you guys can see, there's only between 40 and 60 people on here. So there are a lot of people that do watch the show later, which I find kind of intriguing and cool. But it's cool. Hopefully we'll be able to, you know, expand our community here and get a few more people to come out and see if we can't fund this thing. We still haven't hit our marks yet to be able to be doing this full time, but maybe we can dollar by dollar. We'll see what happens. Arctophagologo. Motorhead, I'm not sure off the top of my head what Arctostaphylos columbiana is. Manzanita. Yep. Some manzanita does grow in eastern Washington. Some does grow here in western Washington. More often than not, when it is growing somewhere in western Washington, it will be in a place that is illegal to cut it down. Oftentimes in western Washington, when you see it growing somewhere, it's normally growing on A, someone else's property, or B, the government's parks properties or something along those lines. So you can't really harvest from parks. That is illegal. Can't do that. So it's pretty rare to be able to find it in western Washington. So yes, it does grow here, but like I said, getting it and getting access to it in western Washington is extremely difficult, just because it is difficult to get to. The one place I know I could go get it for sure, it is illegal to get it there for sure. Woo! Okay, so let's go on to the chat here. Rob Hicks uses blasting sand in my 40-gallon planted tank. I fert and use root tabs. Seems to work good for you. Yeah, blasting sand and root tabs does work. That is actually... so with the blasting sand, you do have an inert substrate, which isn't, in my opinion, necessarily the best substrate that you could be using. But supplying with the root tabs is giving you essentially a controlled fertilizer for the roots to the plant. So that is a decent way to do it. To me, that's extremely time consuming to be adding root tabs in all the time. That's, to me, that realistically, if I choose up all my time just trying to get fertilizer access to my plants, then my plants aren't necessarily growing because I'll probably find other stuff that I have to do. So my goal is to set up a tank that is more that is more enjoyable, right, than work, if that makes sense. It's more enjoyment, less work, and not go that direction where you're spending a ton of time working on something and not necessarily getting a benefit out of it because you're simply just you're simply just working on something that you wouldn't have to work on if you realistically had done just a little bit of preparation or maybe saved up a couple of bucks and used some different products. Now, I'm not criticizing how other people want to do theirs because there are a lot of different ways to operate your aquariums or anything along those lines out there that I'm not being critical of those things. I'm just saying that's not how I would do them because of my experience. All that work is not necessarily worth it to me. Oh, and All About DIY is here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Let's see. Fuzzy Fish has a 75 planted and something is eating my jungle val. I have guppies, swordtails, Siamese algae eaters, neon rainbows, autos, and densey barbs. Do I know who it would be? No, I wouldn't know who is eating your jungle val. I've never seen fish that were really interested in eating jungle val. Guppies won't, swordtails won't, Siamese algae eaters might if you actually have flying fox instead of algae eaters. They're just kind of, flying fox are just kind of aggressive. Neon rainbows, maybe. Autos, no. Densey barbs, probably not. Chances are, I don't know if it's meat, if anything is eating it. I would most likely say you may or may not have a deficiency in your plants, and your plants may or may not be getting what they need, realistically. Olympia Shrimp says Excel does a number on jungle val. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've grown jungle val. I've never been a big fan of it. It's always kind of a weed plant to me, realistically. I did get some in a couple of times. I had some big tanks running a bunch of jungle val, and it's just sort of a sort of a weird weed, and to me, the aesthetic of Jungle Val just gets real boring for me. You know, just the long grass just growing up to the top of the tank kind of just gets a little bit boring. But realistically, if anything is eating that Jungle Val, that's a little bit odd because it is a pretty durable plant that's not really a food source for fish out there. So that's kind of weird. I've never really seen fish think that it's that appetizing. If you have holes or something in it, or if it is melting off or anything like that, it may just be more of a deficiency. If it has holes or something like that growing in it, that is almost always a deficiency, and normally potassium along those lines. Kevin Hayes, did you see my question about your DI system up in the chat a bit? Let's see. Kevin Hayes, I'm thinking of doing a similar setup for my new shrimp tank. Just remove some iron particulates, but reef, I've got to go full roadie. I'm actually using that same setup in my reef right now. I'm basically getting it down to 0 TDS because there just isn't that much stuff in my water here. I know that Kevin in the Midwest may or may not have wacky water. It's hard to say. I get mixed reports from people all over the country what your water is. I'm using that in my reef tank right now, and it's working very well so far. Haven't had any problems. Just make sure that the filters are changed out properly. I am saving a little bit of money because I'm not using the prime and safe and stuff like that all the time, because I'm using a charcoal filter on the back end of it, which is pulling all the chlorine out, which is good, and the chloramines pretty easy, and it just seems to be the easiest way to do the water changes, because I can fill up a 40-gallon bucket in like 5 minutes, and that is way faster than having the roadie on for 8 hours, having one half of the water going somewhere and one half of the water going into a bucket, and the chances for flooding is just a big, huge pain in the buns, and that is not a good. It's not a good deal altogether. But that is the setup that I'm using on my reef. I don't have a ton of. I don't have any algae or anything going on like that because I am getting down to 0 TDS, so it's working out fine, honestly, so far. Bentley Pasco is saying. Well, Olympia Shrimp said Excel does a number on Jungle Val. That is true. If you're using Excel, that you might have a problem with your Jungle Val from that. Fuzzy Fish says they're very nibbled on the sides, so now they grow short and fat. That may or may not be a lighting issue, honestly. If you have really, really, really powerful lights on Jungle Val, it'll grow weird and short and fat like that sometimes. I have seen that in the past. All About DIY caught you over at Bob's live stream. Always fun over there. Oh yeah, I think Bob Steenfot is live. So I would encourage everybody after this to go over and bug Bob and say hey. To Bob. I think he's live. I'm not sure. I think I got a thing over here. Wait, what? Hold on a second here. What's going on? How does that? Oh, how does this work? Oh, he's on with Simply Beta. Oh, okay. Well, that actually works perfect. Perfect comment, because we'll be heading over. I'll be heading over to Steenfot to say hi to him here in just a minute, because we don't have the extensions, and we're going to head out for the day. And hopefully everybody out there is having a fantastic Thursday. If you didn't, if I didn't get to anybody's question in the chat, it is not a personal affront or anything along those lines. I normally just miss them when I'm trying to scan through and read everything. As you guys know, Vicky was here yesterday. The long-term goal is to have my co-pilot. I guess I'm her co-pilot. She's the pilot. I'm the co-pilot. Hopefully have her on the show in the future. If we can ever get to that point, that's the goal. And I can actually have somebody here on the show with me full time. That is my long-term goal, to have my lady doing the camera work and working on editing and doing all that kind of stuff and being here on the show. That is my long-term goal. That is my long-term goal. A lot of these projects, a lot of the big encompassing projects that we're working on coming up, she will be for sure involved in, and that's one of those things. Let's see. I figured out I would need RO for the iron. Orange water. Oh, I tested with just charcoal, and the TDS was at 300. Didn't try with a particulate filter. What micron do I use? Go to 1 micron. Go as small as you can with a particulate filter. I'm going to answer that question before we leave. But yeah, everybody out there, head over to Steenfot and say hi to him. He's live with let's see, with Simply Beta, whom I've never had a conversation with, but I believe she is a beta keeper. So yeah, that's where I'll be heading, and hope everybody has a fantastic Thursday out there, and stay safe. Don't get super weird. Jim Meeker just got here right at the end. Well, either way, we're heading over to Bob Steenfot, and we'll say hi to those guys. All right. Later.